All right, let's get you ready for your GCSEs with this super focused revision on higher tier algebra. We're going to be tackling topics A1 right through to A7 from the Pearson Edexcel spec. Think of this as getting the foundations absolutely rock solid. So let's get into it and crack the algebra code together. So I want you to try and think about this a little differently. What if algebra wasn't just another subject you have to learn? What if it's actually a secret language? I mean, it's got its own symbols, its own vocabulary, its own grammar rules, just like any other language. Our mission here is to make you fluent. And by the end, you're not just going to be answering questions. You'll actually be thinking in algebra. So here's our game plan. First, we'll focus on cracking the code itself. Then we'll get into the basic building blocks. After that, we'll move on to mastering manipulation, then understanding proofs and functions, and finally, we'll pull it all together into your essential exam toolkit. Okay, Section 1, cracking the algebra code. Just like learning any new language, you've got to start with the basics, right? The alphabet, the basic rules, that's exactly what we're going to do. Which brings us to the building blocks. This part covers the spec points A1 to A3. Honestly, this is the absolute core vocabulary of our new language. If you can get this bit right, everything else that follows becomes so much easier. So topic A1 is all about notation. It's basically the shorthand that makes algebra work. Instead of writing out 3 times y every single time, we just write 3y. Instead of a times a, we can just say a squared. And for division, like a divided by b, we write it as a fraction, a over b. It's just cleaner, faster, and way more efficient. Next up, A2, substitution. This is a skill you are going to use all the time, for sure. For full marks, just follow this simple 3-step process every single time. 1. Write down the formula. 2. Substitute the numbers you've been given into it. 3. Calculate your answer. So for our example, f equals ma, we just swap m for 5 and a for 2. So f is 5 times 2, which, of course, is 10. Easy, right? Now for some really important vocabulary from A3. First up, an expression. It's just a bunch of terms hanging out together, but with no equal sign. Then you've got an equation. An equation has an equal sign, and it's basically a puzzle you have to solve. It's only true for one or maybe a few specific values. A formula also has an equal sign, but it's different. It shows a general relationship between variables, like area equals length times width. And finally, the identity. You'll know it by that special triple bar symbol. An identity is a statement that is true for any value you throw at it. All right, so we've learned some words. Now it's time to start building sentences. This is Section 3, Mastering Manipulation. Here we're going to get into simplifying, expanding, and rearranging things, covering topics A4 and A5. First up, simplifying by collecting like terms. The best way to think about this is like sorting fruit. You know, you put all the apples in one pile and all the bananas in another. You can't just add them together. It's the same here. We group the x terms together and the y terms together. So 5x take away 2x leaves us with 3x, and 3y plus 4y gives us 7y. See? It just tidies up the whole expression and makes it much easier to work with. Staying on topic A4, let's look at expanding brackets. With a single bracket, you just multiply the term on the outside by times everything on the inside. So 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now for 2 brackets, or binomials, you have to make sure every term in that first bracket multiplies every term in the second. So let's go. X times x is x squared, then x times plus 5 is plus 5x, then plus 3 times x is plus 3x, and last, plus 3 times plus 5 is plus 15. All we do then is collect those like terms in the middle, 5x plus 3x, to get our final simplified answer, x squared plus 8x plus 15. And now for A5, rearranging formulae. This is all about changing the subject. You can think of it like rephrasing a sentence to put the focus on a different word. To get A by itself here, we have to use inverse operations to kind of peel back the layers around it. First, we need to get rid of that u, so we subtract it from both sides. Then, to get rid of the t, we divide both sides by t. It's all just a systematic process of undoing the operations to isolate the letter you want. Okay, we're leveling up now. We're moving from the grammar of algebra to its literature. This section is all about the deeper meaning, where we'll look at proofs and functions from A6 and A7. This is where you start to see how powerful and, honestly, how elegant algebra can be. Topic A6 really focuses on a super important difference, the one between an equation and an identity. An equation with its normal equals sign is a puzzle waiting to be solved. It's only true for a specific value. In this case, x has to be 4. But an identity with that special triple bar sign is just a statement of fact. It's true for any and every value of x you could possibly think of. So let's talk about A7, functions. The absolute best way to think about a function is to picture it as a machine. You pop an input number in one end, the machine applies a specific rule, and then a single output number comes out the other end. So for the expression 3x plus 2, the machine's rule is multiply by 3, then add 2. So if we pop a 4 in as our input, the machine does its thing, 3 times 4 plus 2, and out comes 14. It's as simple as that. Now, for higher tier, it gets a little more interesting with inverse and composite functions. An inverse function does exactly what it sounds like. It reverses the process. It takes the output and turns it back into the original input. So if our function machine turned 4 into 14, the inverse function would take 14 and turn it right back into 4. A composite function is where things get fun. It's when you chain two functions together. The output from the first function becomes the input for the second one. So imagine we have two functions. F of x is x plus 2, and g of x is 5x. If we have to find gf of x, that just means we do function f first and then apply function g to the answer. So for g of 3, we first do f of 3, which is 3 plus 2, which is 5. Then we take that 5 and put it into g. So g of 5 is 5 times 5, which gives us our final answer of 25. Okay, we're on the home stretch. Our final section, your exam toolkit. Let's pull everything we've talked about together and look at the key skills you'll need to walk into that exam with confidence. So here it is, your A1 to A7 checklist. We've talked about using notation, substituting numbers correctly, simplifying and expanding, rearranging formulas, knowing the crucial difference between equations and identities, and getting your head around functions. Now, one key skill from this block we haven't covered in detail is factorizing quadratics, so definitely make sure you put that on your personal revision list. But if you're feeling good about everything on this slide, you have built an incredibly powerful foundation for your exam. You know, we started this by calling algebra a secret language, but hopefully you can see that the code has been cracked. It's not so secret anymore. You now have the tools to read it, to write it, and to think in it. And at its heart, that's what algebra is. It's the language of problem solving. So really the only question left is, what problems will you go out and solve? Good luck with your revision.